welcome to a special edition of Cavaliers Corner with the cross-country team. Joining me today is head coach Rob Musico, Justin Maroney on the men's team, and Toya Reeves of the women's team. And, of course, I'm Logan Smith. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you.
Getting ready to preview Saturday's national championship meet. Both the men and women's teams have made it, and can't really say anything more. Rob, we'll start with you to talk about just the regional championship race. You knew the women were going to make it no matter what because, after the fact, of course, because they finished third, and then you had to wait a little bit for the men because they finished fourth. But, all things considered, just your thoughts on the regional championships.
Yeah, it's could not have been scripted any better for us on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
The women ran first, ran an outstanding team race, obviously led by Sarah winning the regional championship, which was really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were followed up with six, women that just had probably their best individual performances of the year. You put it together and came home with that third place. Which was an auto at the time. So, yeah, you're right. It was a relief. And I'm looking at the women's race, and, we had about 40-minute, delay there between them two races. So, the attention then turned to the men. And then it's like, oh, man, how are the men going to top what the women just did?
Mm-hmm.
But they did. The men were more of an underdog going into the season. And, we were going into the season thinking we needed to grow and develop through the year, and that's exactly what happened throughout the entire year. We got stronger and stronger on the men's side, and we knew going in that we had to match our regional ranking fourth to basically get one of those at-large bids, and that's exactly what they did. They ran their best team race of the year from top to bottom,
mm-hmm.
and obviously led by Jacob Cornell that day, he ran out of his mind, finishing third overall and qualifying individually. And then, that was just backed up. Capes ran great, Justin ran great. It was just one after another that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we were pretty excited when we finished because we had known we accomplished what we needed to do. And, it was a waiting game, but it was also a waiting game that I wasn't really that nervous about until Monday.
Yeah.
Until it was the day that we released. On the ride home and all day Sunday, I was pretty confident we were going to be in based on who we'd beaten during the year and the way the setup was as far as the at-large berths go.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Monday that I got a little nervous, but, at 4 o'clock that day, they released it and we were in the field, and, it just capped off a pretty remarkable weekend for us.
Now let's start, I'll kind of mention the women's race first again. I was kind of trying to follow along with live stats, and they were kind of a little shaky. Did you see any of that, and did that cause any concern at the start?
Well, yeah, there was concern. I was at the point where I watched the race very closely, and I was watching it between us and Northern Michigan because I knew that's kind of what it was going to come down to for that third spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd watched 6 of our 7 beat Northern Michigan's. The only spot that we lost on to Northern Michigan was on the number 3 spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew we had beaten them. And then all of a sudden the results are coming up and they're missing our girls and they're, we didn't even have a full team score, and it's like, oh my gosh. So at that point in time, I'm running over to the bus to get the $50 because if I'm going to have to appeal this, you have to put $50.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I always track or cross. I always carry $100 on me just in case you ever have to do this.
Interesting thing to know. I never knew that.
So I was on my way, and then someone said, well, they know that they've messed up. They got to fix it. So I didn't go over because I didn't think it was going to need to be appealed at that time. But it was, and then on the real scoreboard, the real-time scoreboard
mm-hmm.
at the finish line had the right results.
Okay.
So then we were looking at that, and then it's like, okay, they had all our placers in there. So I think it was Tori was one of the ones that was missing. She was not in the original results. And neither was Chelsea, and Tori and Chelsea were our 4 or 5 that day.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that out and you make our 6, 7, then it puts us back a ways. But it was pretty nerve-wracking. But obviously, I knew in my head what we had done. So it was just I felt bad for Northern Michigan because they kind of thought they were third at the beginning. And they probably weren't paying attention to where we were because we wore different uniforms that day. But
I think anybody would have to look and say, oh, wait, where's Walsh? Like,
exactly.
I mean,
and at that time, in Northern Michigan, I knew they were going to get in.
Yeah.
They were going to get that. As long as they were fourth, they would rank like 16th or 17th in the country going into that. They were going to get in too. So, it turned out the way we needed it to because we wanted to come home knowing we were in.
Now, Tori, you were one of those people, as you mentioned. What were you thinking during that race? And yeah, we'll just start with that, and then I'll
During the race?
Yeah, well, before or during and after.
Okay. During the race, it was definitely. I honestly don't really remember it. I just knew what I had to do for my team, and that was going through my head the whole race. So I just tried to compete. As for after the race, that was pretty exciting. There were some tears shed, happy tears, but
Okay.
I knew right when I finished that personally, I overcame something big, and then seeing everyone else around us, they were really happy, and so I knew we did something special. And then I remember when we were doing our cool down, and we saw everyone by the results board, and that's when our whole team came together, and we were like, wow, it wasn't official at that time, but we had 23 points in between us and the fourth team, so it was kind of
Yeah.
it was pretty solid. But then that was when we all had our moment there as a team, and that was something special, and I definitely won't forget that.
And you've definitely been one of the cornerstones of this team as well, especially throughout these up and comings, I guess, of in Division II. The only other time the women's team has made it as a team to the national championships was way back in the first year, 1982.
Yeah.
And of course, those were the NEI days.
Right.
I mean, how has it been for you to see the program, become on the rise, as you guys like to say?
That's definitely been something special. We talk about it all the time, actually. How coming in, even Justin would know, our freshman year, it was a whole different atmosphere. I know Coach was here and he was building up the program, and we were doing everything, buying into the program. We saw progress, but it's definitely something special to be part of something that has grown so much in 4 years. Coach has done a tremendous job, and the whole team, just everyone buying into the program is super important, and that's what we did, and that's where we are now, and I just can't wait to see where it goes from here.
We definitely owe a lot to Coach for bringing together a really hard-working group of guys and girls who know what it takes to get the job done, and without him bringing us into this program and kind of getting the ball rolling, we wouldn't be here now. So
now, you yourself, as we go to the men's race now, you yourself had a heck of a race. The men performed, outstanding, number 4 in the region, and of course, as Coach mentioned, you kind of felt confident, but you still have that. But I would imagine everybody was thinking, 95% at least that, hey, we're in. Top 10 or top 20 program, and then you finish 4th in the region. It's like, okay, well, you want the official word, but in my mind, okay, the story's being written as we,
Yeah.
But your experience in the regional championship.
Yeah. So, last year we kind of learned that you can't take anything for granted. We thought we had a really good team last year and had a pretty solid shot at getting there, and didn't work out. And so this year we knew you got to go out and earn it. And, don't take anything for granted. You got to perform on that day. And we knew that our best chance of getting in was probably going to be 4th and get that at-large bid. And so performing at regionals is a huge part of that criteria to get there. And so a big part of what I was thinking before the race was just really going around to a lot of our younger guys, making sure their nerves were calmed down and they were ready to go. Running at regionals is a pretty intense experience, and the nerves can shut you down if you let them get to you. So I was really trying to make sure they were calm. And the gun went off and started running, got to 5K. I was like, man, I'm feeling really good. And myself and Noah Murray happened to come up on Spencer, who's been doing great things for our team all season. Just happened to be having a sort of a bad day. Yeah. And we caught him, and I looked at Noah. I said, man, it's on us now, because if we don't take over here and make up for Spencer having a little bit of a bad day, we blow our shot. So we stepped up big, and we're just catching guys the whole last 5K and did what we had to do.
Nice. Now, Coach, I guess all 3 of you, will start with you, Coach, though. you got both teams in nationals now. It's going to be a stacked field. We all know that. I mean, that's nothing new. What are your expectations, or what are your goals, kind of going forward to the national championships?
Well, I think so much of it is, the pressure was at regionals.
Okay.
So now we get to go out there and do what we've trained to do.
Mm-hmm.
We can go into this race a lot more relaxed. We're in pretty good shape right now. We've had some remarkable workouts throughout the year. The progression on both sides has been, right on. So it's less pressure, more relaxed, confident. I would say both these teams are extremely confident going into this. As far as goals, top 15 on the guys' side, I think is totally doable.
Mm-hmm.
And top 10 on the women's side is totally doable. I mean, it's kind of trying to match our rankings,
Yeah.
Going into it. I think that's possible. Now, can we finish off of that and still have, a lot to be proud of? Absolutely. But it's going to be fun to watch. It is a stacked field,
Yeah.
and we've run in competitive races before. So, yeah, this is the most competitive meet, but these guys have run in really big races. There's only a couple guys and girls in our lineup that have not had these big meet experiences. So most of them have. Most of them run on the course that we're going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
We've run well on this course that we're running on Saturday. So I think we're right on. We're ready. Whatever happens, but I think it's going to be good.
Now, before you guys answer, that raised another question. Okay, out of the entire field, I mean, top 15, top 10, would be pretty solid goals overall at the end of the year, especially considering there are 17 teams total, or 17 schools total, that both have men and women both competing.
Yeah, it is. And I think if you really pare those teams down that have double,
Mm-hmm.
You're comparing apples to oranges on some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you take Grand Valley State, for example. I mean, 25,000 students,
Mm-hmm.
fully funded, state schools. It's a completely different story than what we're doing here at
Yes.
Walsh with, little under 1,200 kids on campus.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real credit to who our kids are and what they're doing. It's, I call them kids, they're really adults, but they're just doing some amazing things. And it's a credit to them. It's a credit to them that buying into the program
Mm-hmm.
these 4 years ago, and some of the young ones that are freshmen now buying into it. It's so much of what I think is actually thinking of the future. We had signing this week.
Yeah.
So not only am I thinking about and being excited about nationals, I'm excited about being there in 3 years.
Yeah.
We want to build this thing to stay on top.
Mm-hmm. Now, Justin, you mentioned that it's relaxing now that the goal is, I mean, I know it's still going to be a lofty pedestal, so to speak, but I mean, does it help any knowing that it's, no matter what happens, it's the last race of the year?
Last race of our careers.
Yeah,
so,
well, that too.
Yeah.
Or does it add? I mean, because you could look at that like, hey, it's lead pressure. I mean, I'm sure you guys are still going to run after the fact. It's not like, hey,
right,
national champions.
still at track
You're still
season,
going to run out and compete.
When you think about the last cross country race after, for me, 8
Yeah.
years of dedication, probably 8, maybe 10 if you ran middle school. It's like there's no easy way to look at that, but when you dream of what your last cross country race would be like, this is what it is on the biggest stage in D2 cross country. How can you ask for anything better than that? And so I think getting there takes a little bit of the burden off, and it's exciting. But I think we're at a point in both programs now where we might be there every year, and it's not enough just to go in and say, oh, we're happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep trying to move up in the scoring and do better and better every year. And for the guys who are juniors or sophomores or freshmen, I know the first time I went to nationals 2 years ago, it just makes you so hungry, and they're going to want it so much more next year after they've had a taste of it in their mouth, and they're going to work their butts off next year to get back. So that's all I can say about that.
Tori, what about you?
I mean, yeah, I agree with Justin with a lot of that. I mean, it does take a little bit of the pressure off, but I also think that all of our team, like, we know that it's something special. We know that it's something that we shouldn't take for granted, like he said. So I mean, yeah, I think we're more relaxed, more confident, but I also think that we're going to be ready to race and ready to perform and not just show up. We're going to perform and we're going to show people that we're something that they should look at or something that they shouldn't ignore. But yeah, definitely it's going to be a good experience. I mean, like you said, it's our last race, which is kind of scary, but I've been trying not to think about it. But just with a team, I think it's going to be a special time. It's going to be a special race, and we're going to do what we know that we can do. So
now, last question. I don't really want to overshadow anyone specifically, but Sarah Berger.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Just a little bit. I mean, as we mentioned before, first in the region, it's kind of like almost a different, maybe coaching her a little bit different from the net. I mean, what are her prospects like in terms of where she could finish?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think she's going to be in the hunt, and I'll just leave it at that. I think she'll be in the hunt. She's a very hardworking, gifted athlete that is where she is because she has not taken one day lightly in her career. I mean, and it's all of these athletes are the same.
Yeah.
She's obviously done it at the highest level.
Yeah.
I like to think she's going to be in the hunt to win. You don't know how the race is going to go down. There's some very, very talented athletes in this race. One that beat her at Lewis, and she knows. We've talked about some strategy things that she can do differently against that girl this coming weekend. We have not raced the girl from Mary. She's extremely talented. There's a girl at St. Leo that's extremely talented. So I mean, it's all you can ask is to have a shot. And she's got a shot. Yeah. Just like the men's team has a shot and the women's team has a shot. Yep. And we've earned the right to be in this championship race, and we're going to go out and make the most of it. And it is once again a huge credit to everyone that's in this program, whether they're making this trip and on this team, in the 7 that are racing, or they're not in the 7. There's an unbelievable amount of respect amongst one another. We have taken this to the next level, and we hope to continue to take this to the next level. And like they said, we're gonna go out there fighting, and we're gonna do everything we can to place as high as we can. And as I always say, enjoy the journey. Enjoy what they're doing because they have to enjoy it at this point in time. They put a lot of work in, a lot of sacrifice for that one moment of excitement, like she talked about on the cool down. And obviously these guys, obviously received word when they found they were officially 4th. That's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of work for one moment. And it's all to them.
Well, definitely looking forward to the results. I know we got other stuff going on campus, but that's going to be the first thing I look for whenever I get a chance to.
You better be.
Well, I just hope the results come in before. I mean, we got to get basketball game at 1. Nothing against the basketball team, but I definitely really looking forward.
Well, I
to
got news for you. If it tips off at 1, the men will not be done yet.
Okay.
Because we're racing at 11:30, which is 12:30 your time, and 10K. I mean, if we run, all 5 of our guys run under 30 minutes, we're coming home national champs. So, likely it won't.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm just going to wipe off all next week.
It's going to be the first 5 minutes of the game. You're going to find out how we did, probably. But
well,
it's exciting.
Best of luck to you, and like I said, can't wait to see the results this Saturday.
Thank you very much, Logan.
For the cross country team, I'm Logan Smith. Go Cavaliers.